Hello, 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 and let us just get started. So the very first thing that we are going to do is we are going into our content folder, online tutorials, systems, and in here I'm going to make a new folder. I'm going to call it, well actually, what do we have in blueprints? Well, no, multiplayer. Next to multiplayer, even though this is going to be multiplayer as well, I'm just going to be making a new folder, and I'm going to call it Jump Pads, like so. And let's head into Jump Pads. In here, we are going to make a new blueprint class. It's going to be an actor. I'm going to call it BP_jump pad. And we can open that up. The very first thing I'm going to do is add a component. And I'm going to add a cube. Just a normal cube. And I'm going to scale this down to maybe 0.25 on the Z-axis. I'm also going to remove all the collision on this cube. This is simply going to be illustrating where the jump pad is. After this, I'm going to add a box collision, and I'm going to make this just a tiny bit bigger than our jump cube. Maybe something like so. And we can leave it as is. Then I'm going to add a arrow component. I'm going to make this remove hidden in game. And I'm going to make this 100 units above the box, which is, I think the player character is 100 units tall. That's why I'm doing it. And did I remove the hidden in game? Yes, we did. Okay, beautiful. So now we got our arrow, like here. I'm gonna just point it up 30 degrees, like so. Now, let us go into our box. So click our box collision and search for the on component begin overlap. The other actor is gonna be our third person character. So cast to third person character. And now we wanna add a Boolean here. This Boolean is gonna be can launch, question mark. You could do a B to illustrate that it's Boolean, like so. So B can launch, and that is going to default to be true. And now out of this cast, we can now grab our Boolean by holding Control and left click, left drag like so, and then add a branch and push that into the execution node. So if can launch is true, then we want to set can launch to be false. This is simply because we don't want to have it trigger constantly, because it's going to overlap this box and then just launch if it stays in true. And so we want to be able to check this. So it actually wanted to be false, I'm sorry. So it's only going to go through the true branch once, and then it's going to go into the next step. All right. So let us head into our third person character, because we need to get something there, or make something rather. So here we have our open closed doors. And now I'm going to right click, search for custom event, and I'm going to call it launch character server. I'm going to set that to be run on server, make it reliable. I'm going to have two inputs on that. First input is going to be a vector. I'm going to call it velocity. That's not how you type that. And then I'm going to add a BP_jump pad object reference. I'm just going to call that jump pad ref, like so. So on the launch server, run on server reliable. Don't necessarily need reliable. I'm just putting it on everything at the moment. You do not want to do that. Figure out if you want it to be reliable or not yourself. Then we're going to right click custom event. I'm going to call this one launch character MS, because we want all of the clients to be able to see that this character is being launched. So I'm going to multicast that, and I'm going to reliable that as well. And this is going to have the same inputs as before. So we need a vector, which is going to be velocity, and and jump pad ref, like so. And now we can call our launch character MS. Now I did type that wrong. There's an H there. There we go. This needs to be refreshed, and you can plug in the nodes like so. Now we want to go back to our jump pad again. So we want to add a new variable. It's going to be b fixed path question mark. This is going to be editable and exposed on spawn. And then we can go back to our third person again. So now that we have our launch character MS, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my jump pad ref, and I'm going to get fixed path. This might be a little bit messy, but it's going to work just fine for us. I'm not going to promote these two variables because I just don't want it to be that many variables on this particular character. So we're going to check if it's a fixed path. If it is a fixed path, well, then we want to get a timeline going. So create timeline, not add timeline. I'm going to call it location update timeline. And I'm going to double click that, change the length to be 1, add a float track. And this is going to be my location float track. 2 keys to the curves. First key is going to be 0, 0. Second key is going to be 1, 1. And now we need the speed for this. So I'm just going to make a new variable here. And it's going to be a float, and it's going to be called cached timeline play rate. And I'm going to make that into a float, as I said, and this is going to be 1. So we might want our jump pads to have different speeds when having a fixed path. That is why we're caching this timeline, because we are going to set the play rate of our timeline. So grab in your timeline and set play rate. So this is in true, and that goes into play from start. So we want to set the play rate of our location timeline. We want to set it to be our cached timeline play rate divided by the jump time. So we're going to make it a variable, a float variable in our BP jump pad. It's going to be f jump time. That's going to be editable and exposed on spawn. Now I can go back to a third person again, and now we can, out of our jump pad ref, we can get jump time. So now we're doing 1 divided by, right? And the next time it's going to come through here, the reason we're caching it, right? If we did get play rate here, then it would start at 1, divide itself by 1, or it would basically just go slower and slower each time it comes around. So we're caching it, so it's always going to be 1 divided by the jump time. So 1 divided by, let's say 5 in the jump time, 1 divided by 5, that's 0.2, right? Next time it's going to come around, it's going to say 0.2 divided by 5, and then it's just going to keep going slower and slower and slower. So we're caching this to have a 1 as a constant, which is our timeline float track. So every time this goes through, it's going to do 1 divided by whatever jump time it is on the jump pad itself. You could probably have the timeline and everything happening in your jump pad, but no, actually I don't think you can, because you need to replicate this, right? And you need a player controller or something to do that. Anyway, so now we're setting the play rate, and then we are doing our location update timeline. And on the update, we're going to set actor location. That's not it. Set actor location on the update. And once this is finished, we can actually just do that right away. We can get the play set play rate to be back to 1. And this actually makes this completely void. However, we're going to use this just to be 100% certain, even though this is No, this shouldn't be needed because we are using a cached variable. So we actually need to work a little bit on our spline. Have we added that to our jump pad? No, we have not. So let's go to our jump pad and let's add a spline component like so. Now, in our construct script, we are gonna get our directional arrow. So I'm just gonna rename that to be direction arrow. I'm gonna get the world location of the direction arrow. That is not a type direction, I don't care anymore. And we're gonna get the forward vector. And we're going to get the up vector. Now, the forward vector, we're gonna multiply. And same with the up vector, we're gonna multiply. What are we gonna multiply it with? Well, we're gonna multiply it with a speed. And that's what we're gonna need to do now. So add two new variables. First is gonna be f speed. So forward speed. That's going to be editable and exposed on spawn. And then we're going to duplicate that. And this is going to be our FU speed. Not FU, but float up vector speed. That is what this means. For me anyway. So we're going to get our forward speed. Plug that in to our multiplication of the forward vector. We're going to get our up speed. Multiply that by the up vector. Like so. And then we are going to, well, actually, do we need, actually I don't think we need the up vector. No, we don't need the up vector for this. We do need it later though. So we're gonna get the forward vector and we're just gonna multiply it by this, and then we're gonna do a predict projectile path by trace channel. The starting position is gonna be the direction arrow. I'm going to do a radius of 25. The velocity is going to be our multiplication over here. World dynamic, trace the path, sure. We're going to make array out of actors to ignore, and we're going to get a reference to self. So we're going to ignore our self, which is the jump pad. I'm going to do a draw debug for duration. I'm going to do 5 seconds on the debug time. The sim frequency, I'm going to do 30, and the max sim time, well, we're going to do a new float. So it's going to be f sim time. That's going to be editable and exposed on spawn. And that goes into our max sim time, like so. And I'm going to default max sim time to be 2. I'm going to right click on out path position and promote that to a variable. Then I'm going to do a for each loop out of that array. And I'm going to get my spline. I'm going to add a spline point. Plug it in like so. Plug it in like so. Make this to world. And that should be our construct script. Now we can go into our world for a second and just make sure that everything is fine. Head into your systems, jump pad, and add your jump pad. So you can see that we are having, first of all, I'm lagging because we are creating this a really big, we're creating a lot. So we're having an issue with our spline here, as you can see. So into our, okay, so this is what is currently happening to our spline. I'm gonna move my spline upwards, maybe about like 50. And let us see if we can get the points. So the very first point. Let's actually remove this construct for a second while we debug this. So we need to basically get rid of that point that was there previously. Go into the viewport, and now we got a spline that is just going downwards like so. Now go into the world. that is still happening. So let us check on our F speed here. So I'm going to change that to maybe like 2000. So now you can see that it's going out of the arrow that we have set. Well, it's starting like down here. It is doing our predict path, which is the spheres, and it's creating the spline meshes or the spline points after that on the locations that we have. Okay, beautiful. So now that we have our spline set up, now we can go into our third person character again, into the event graph, and we want to get our jump pad ref, and we want to get the spline out of that. So where's the spline? There's the spline. This is going to be a little bit messy. Bear with me. So we want to get the spline, and we want to get distance along spline at spline point. And the index that we want to get is, well, we need to find out how many spline points we have and where we're currently at. So we want to get number of spline points, and we want to do a -1 and plug that into the point index, like so. Now that we have this, we can now get our location flow track, and we want to lerp out of that. This is our alpha. So we start at 0, and then we get the distance to the nearest spline point. And then we're basically lerping our way across that. However, we can also, out of our spline here, we can now get location at distance along the spline. The space is going to be world. Again, as I said, this might be a little bit messy. Bear with me. The distance comes from our lerp, and that is our actor location. So this is if it is a fixed path, right? We can test this by going into here and selecting our launch pad, like so. Let's move it over here, move it down a little bit, and set fixed path to be true. It's going to take us, let's say, 5 seconds to get to from the start to the end. And the sim time, that is how long, basically how long it's going to stay green here. So it's going to stay green for 5 seconds now before it goes away. No, not for 5 seconds, sorry. It's going to take 5 seconds. Okay, look, here's the end. I'm bad at explaining this. Here's the end right now, right? It's simulating for 5 seconds before it stops simulating, and it's not going to track anymore. If when I do 1 second, that's going to cut it down to like this, right? If I do 10 seconds, it's going to be fuck long. And you can do however long you want, to be fair. So now let us go here and see if it's a fixed path, if that is true. So theoretically, we can probably do a test right now by hitting play. Now we can go up here, and absolutely nothing is happening. And why is that, you might ask? Well, I ask myself that a lot, and right now I don't know. So let's figure that out. I go into debug mode. So basically I go into my third person character here. I check the one that spawned here now, and hopefully this is the correct one. Well, it's not happening simply because none of this is being called. We jumped into our third person character to fix this code while we haven't actually added it here. So you can see if I do now a print here, this should at least return a print. Hello, there we go. So now in our jump pad, we can now continue with this. So the reason we stopped was because we needed the event made. So now we can drag out from our third person character here and do a launch character server. The jump pad ref is our self, and the velocity that we are going to jump, well, that's in our direction arrow. And now we're going to use the up vector and the up speed and the forward speed. So now you get your forward vector of your arrow, multiply that by the F speed, and then we get our up vector, because we want to go a little bit up, right, in there. Maybe you don't. Up to you, your prerogative. Multiply that by the FU speed. Actually, now that I think about it, maybe you don't need the up speed here either. I am doing it though. If you want to try the other way, feel free to do so. That's just basically just removing this and using only this. But for now, we're going to use both. You grab the multiplication and you multiply that with each other, and that is going to give you the velocity that we want. Haven't tested if just using the forward will work. If that is what you want to try, you can just plug this directly into there. I'm going to do both of these. And as I said, we have the can launch that is setting itself to false. So we do want to add a small delay of like 0.2 seconds and set can launch to be true after that. So they can use the jump pad again after 0.2 seconds. Now I can hit play. And you can see how fast that was. That is, of course, as I said, we are using a sim time of 10 seconds. So we are simulating all the way down to the end of this. However, we are also set that the jump time is 5 seconds. So it's going to take us 5 seconds to go all the way over there. If I now do 50 seconds, for example, it's going to take us, well, 10 times as much. So I can now jump, and you can see it's going a lot smoother. And it's going to continue basically going until the end of the loop. If you do want 5 seconds, and maybe you want the sim time to be 2 seconds, then maybe 2 seconds is too much. Nah, 2 seconds should be fine. I'm gonna rotate this though, so it's like over here, and we are gonna land roughly there. Not roughly there, we're gonna end our simulation over there. And there you have it. That is the fixed path. Let's see here. So now we have our fixed path. What if you don't have a fixed path? Okay, let's remove fixed path from our pad and head over into our player character. So for this, I'm simply going to use a function that's already in the game. So it's called launch character. And you can plug that into false. And the launch velocity, well, that's the same as this velocity. I'm going to override our X and X, Y, and Z. And now if I go into a level again, now we only have forward speed, so it's only gonna boost us forward. Oh, actually, it didn't boost us at all. Let's figure out what that is. Maybe that is because we do need the up speed as well. So I'm gonna do a 1000 up speed. Well, that clearly didn't work. Let's figure out why. So we're getting the forward vector, and we're multiplying that by the. Oh, we don't want to multiply. Sorry, we want to add these two together. Silly of me. So now if I go into the level again, and I check the. So if I do 1000 now on the up speed. There we go. So as you can see, you are also basically you're stopping at the apex or something. Like this is the reason why I decided to make it one fixed path and one non-fixed system, right? So right now, if you want a precision landing, you're just gonna activate fixed path. However, if you want to tweak around and want the players to be able to like move in the air or whatever, like in Borderlands, right? Then you want to have the non-fixed path and you want to mess around with the forward and up speed. So if I now do, for example, 5000 in forward speed, this also does change the projected, right? However, that is, yeah. So now you can see you got fired out a lot. So if we now do, so if we now change this forward speed to be like, let's say like 4000, and we leave the up speed at 1000, that is going to give you a lot more explosive jump, but you can also move around a little bit in the air. If you want this to be tweaked to your perfection or however you want it to be, then feel free to mess around with it. I'm just going to leave the system here for now, and hopefully you found it helpful. If you do want it to be fixed, however, just as I said, click the fixed one, mess around with the forward speed and stuff to find out where exactly you want this path to go. And of course you can just tweak it around however you want. If you want the non-fixed path to be more predictable, you want to have to mess around with physics volumes and maybe terminal velocity. Maybe you have to change terminal velocity or something. So basically get the physics volume maybe of the capsule component and terminal velocity, maybe something like that. Change the terminal velocity. That might help you get a more stable non-fixed path. Let us check though before I end this that it actually works in multiplayer. So I'm just gonna do a listen server, I think. Don't really remember how to do this at the moment. Right, so now this is non-fixed, I believe. It is launching it on both clients, and of course both clients can use it. Same with the fixed path. It's gonna take 5 seconds to jump from there to there. If I now hit play and I go with this client on the left side here, it is just gonna, you know, fly its way over there. It seems a bit jaggy right now. A little bit unsure why necessarily that is. Let us see if I need this to be in this new editor window. So this is the client going, a bit jaggy. Maybe this fixes itself in the package build, I don't know. The server is not as nearly as jaggy on the client side. Maybe this is a reliability thing, you know, maybe we just need to replicate this timeline. Who the fuck knows at the moment? This is, let's see if replicating the timeline works. So I go to the client. Might also be because the client is, it's just a little bit jaggy over there. Don't necessarily need to replicate this timeline. This is reliable. Yeah, why the client is a bit laggy might be on my end on the computer, to be honest. It might be. Okay, that is it for this video. That is our Borderlands-ish type jumping system. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know in the comments if you found it helpful. I'm trying to go slower for each video, but unfortunately I get caught up in just having fun, and I forget that I'm trying to teach something, and honestly I'm not that great a teacher. I'm still learning. We're 100+ videos in and I'm still fucking learning this shit, okay? Again, thank you so much for watching. If you have any suggestions on what we should make next or something in this online system, let me know. And also join our Discord. It's the best place to get help, honestly. Okay, thank you so much. Bye-bye. So this is future Tommy coming in. I forgot to add one thing. Let's head into our online tutorials, head into our systems, jump pads and BP jump pad. We have our arrow. We don't have any way to actually control our arrow. So let's head into our construction script. And here at the very beginning, we are going to add a new variable. It's going to be our F arrow rotation. That's going to be a float, and it's going to be editable and expose and spawn. Remember, we set our Y rotation to be 30, so we're going to default this to be 30 as well. And then we're going to drag out our direction arrow, set world rotation, and we're going to plug it in like so. We're going to split this rotator, and we're just going to add the pitch like so. Now if I go into my third person here, into levels, level 01, save, and now we can click our jump pad, select the rotation, and select it maybe 50 or maybe 20 or maybe 5. As you can see, the arrow is moving, and I might lag out actually on this because as you can see, the constructor keeps updating. This is gonna fix itself in a minute unless we actually crash. I think it should fix itself though. But anyway, yeah. So that is just the final thing I want to add to the system. Remember what I said. Remember to like, subscribe, and if you found it helpful, let me know. Okay, bye-bye.